Okay, in this video I want to talk about software as a service and especially Oracle SaaS offering, and I'm very pleased I'm here with Juergen Lindner. You are the Senior Vice President for Product Marketing around SaaS for Oracle. Maybe you can give me an overview of some of the focus areas, some of the latest news, some of the emphasis you are placing on SaaS applications within Oracle.
Perfect. First of all, happy to be part of this conversation here. And as you said, I mean, software as a service for us has been a big investment over the last decade already. So we really took consciously the time to basically say we're going to rewrite our entire breadth of applications portfolio that we already had on the on-premise type of investments with e-business suite, PeopleSoft, JD Edwards, natively for the cloud. So we have right now a really holistic suite, almost a business platform, right, from all applications. There's no lead time required. You can start immediately, whether it's being a front office type of digital transformation, whether it's a back office transformation. We really try to make sure that wherever a customer wants to start their cloud-based transformation, we're ready to go. And there's never a screeching dead end in the vendor relationship where you need to team up with other vendors to make it happen. So all line of business functions are available in the cloud today as a SaaS offering. And a lot of customers have embarked on those journeys with us. So there's thousands of customers who have on that journey. Some of them have completed their transformations already. And what we're seeing typically is that having a complete suite in the market gives us a perfect opportunity to engage with customers and complement whatever head start they have. It might be an on-premise investment with us. It might be a competitive type of setup that they have. But we're in a very good position to really cater to any starting point the customer has. And I think what makes Oracle unique in that context is that while we have an entire breadth of a suite from applications, we're also the only vendor who has then also the entire technology investment from a platform, from an infrastructure perspective, from a data perspective, to bring it to life in a very unique fashion. So we have a lot of control on how we can help customers in their cloud-based transformation. So we're certainly synonymous with being a technology partner for a long time for a lot of customers, but I think it's important for us to understand for customers that we also are the business partner, that wherever your journey takes you, we're hopefully already there and can work with you.
Yeah, and so, especially some of the infrastructure developments, the autonomous database, the openness of it. So some of this I'm quite excited about to
So
see
are
this
we.
happening. Yes. What would you say are what are the applications that you are particularly excited about, that your customers are excited about, and,
Yes.
and why do they come to you? What are some of the major problems customers want you to help them solve?
It's a great question. I mean, what we're seeing in the market is that a lot of companies right now are in a transition phase. What I mean with that is that we're seeing, for example, them being pushed to be not only a product company, but a services company. And with that come completely new challenges, like, for example, subscription revenue management, how you cater to customer needs. There's also this notion of what we lovingly refer to as the experience economy, where customers have a very different expectation with you. And we did a lot of studies actually that a third of your customer base is at risk if just you have one misstep in the journey how you engage a customer. That said, customers are also willing to pay up to 20% more if they like the service from you. So we're seeing that having that investment into entire suite allows us to really model business processes end to end, because business processes don't stop at an application boundaries. They simply don't, right? So we have a unique opportunity to really cater to those new business models end to end. And that oftentimes requires a connectivity between the front office, how you engage the customer. Let's take field services, for example. Like if you have a challenge with your cable box at home, and you place a call into the call center, while it seems like a rather trivial type of action, what we oftentimes have is that I have to take the day off because I get a service window from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I can count on this cable guy being late and likely doesn't have the part on the trunk to actually help me. So tying together the customer-facing aspects with finding the right field service technician in the first place is typically an HR type of problem because it's a skill set matrix. Or tying that into supply chain later on to really see, is this part something we have on stock? Maybe it needs to be manufactured. What is the impact on lead time? So all the time we typically have end-to-end business flows, and having this entire suite of application helps us massively. To your point of the infrastructure investments with autonomous database and other type of pieces, we do see that helps us significantly in addressing some of the threats that our customers are facing, in terms of cybersecurity being a topic where you don't want to be on the front page for a data breach. So our investments into the autonomous database and the self-patching, the self-healing type of capabilities that it has, even as an applications customer, comes in very handy because we do that on scale for you. Another big advantage for us is the entire innovation cycle and emerging technology pieces, right?
Okay.
There was a study that was commissioned by MIT Sloan in, I want to say 2018, where they said that 84% of the corporations tie their being in the corporate Darwinism curve to the successful adoption of AI. Now, AI is a big term, but what we typically see is that machine learning, IoT, blockchain type of scenarios are fundamentally going to reshape how you need to think about business processes. And what we tend to do is that we work with our development team, with our partner system, with our customers on those use cases, and don't just give you the platform features, let you alone with that, but productize it out directly in the applications flow. And that is a massive difference to a lot of vendors out there who give you a platform, but then it's upon you typically to hire the data scientists to bring it to life with the ecosystem, for example, and we take it upon us. So we pay the tax in Hyphen for really getting that done. It's our data science muscle working for the customers and give them productized use cases. And there's a variety of scenarios that we're already shipping, like for example, finding the next best talent. I mean, if you are in the HR department, the time that you spend in vetting a candidate pool against an open position, sometimes it's thousands of applications against one opening, right? We can very well work with machine learning algorithms to see what type of attributes have made previous candidates successful within your corporations, and through that help prioritize the candidate pool. We're not excluding anyone, we're not doing the hiring for you, but we surface recommendations what have made previous hires successful, and hopefully it allows you to be swifter in plowing through that. Or we have it in the ERP space where if you have a cash surplus position, how do you best allocate that to suppliers, for example, early discount modeling. So for us, it's very intriguing, very refreshing to really see how the emerging of those new technologies allow us to be elevating the productivity level of corporations to fairly unprecedented levels. And it's not really about replacing humans at this point in time at all. It's about augmenting their ability to just reduce some of the mundanity of certain tasks, elevate their productivity, because the key decisions still need to be done by humans, and the fine-tuning of the algorithms as well.
And how well do you see those different applications being interconnected at some of your customers? So you now have the customer experience cloud, you've got ERP systems, you've got HR systems, you've got supply chain. Do companies really link them together and make them for me, especially when you want to start to analyze data and when you want to align your business processes, it's really important, as you said, to achieve that.
Fundamentally agree. I think there's two approaches. Either you can say I go for a best of breed type of approach, and maybe I start my cloud journey in human capital management with one vendor. Maybe I'll take for Salesforce automation another vendor, for ERP yet another vendor. But that bears a huge risk of what I lovingly call the cloud hairball. It leads to a complexity that eventually will choke upon. And to your point of data integrity, there's a reason why we took a conscious investment in saying we want to have the entire suite, because data has to flow rather seamlessly between the front office, your supply chain, your financial modeling type of systems. And that becomes even more pronounced actually if we're talking about applying machine learning algorithms, artificial intelligence on a common data pool. If you have that split in different systems with different vendors, it forces you to either go to rather expensive data warehousing constructs, or you have to deal with different vendor roadmaps, different investments, different technologies to bring that together. So I do think we have a rather unique proposition where having everything on the same data model, all of the line applications, plus the ability to leverage all of the inherent technology platform features, and then having the additional investment from us to productize it out through use cases directly in the applications layer is very attractive, and we're seeing customers gravitating towards pre-built solutions for around emerging tech rather than having to do everything themselves.
Great. Do you have any particularly interesting customer stories, any success stories that you can share that you've seen?
Absolutely. I mean, what we're seeing typically is that customers pick one part of the enterprise for a transformation type of things, right? So we have lots of customers who have started, for example, on a human capital management type of thing. Hilton was one of those examples, for example, started on the human capital management side of thing, but then very quickly found that the benefit of having a unified ERP and HCM system on one platform was the next logical step for them to extend, right? So we're seeing a lot of customers potentially starting on one part of the line of business. What's also pretty interesting is that we're seeing a lot of customers who are using our systems, for example, when they have a lot of merger and acquisition activity. A very prominent example, for example, was Western Digital, the world's largest chip manufacturer. And when they had SanDisk and HDST and Western Digital formed together, and they did a multi-ERP vendor rationalization, they swapped out some SAP systems in SanDisk and standardized on Cloud ERP from Oracle. So there's tons of those stories where we're seeing the flexibility to have different starting points, the flexibility of having a maturity, a proven maturity of those offerings helps us to be a really good business partner in those transformation type of journeys. Around emerging technologies, of course, we're using it internally, for example, for prioritizing our candidate pools as well. So, or doing digital expense reports, for example, where we have intelligent document recognition, where you snap a picture of the receipt, and while that doesn't sound revolutionary, what's happening is there's intelligent document recognition that automatically parses the information. You can see if there's a certain amount threshold that was met. It's likely that's likely two persons, not just one person who that. Then it immediately goes into a dialogue with you and says, okay, who was the person with whom you had lunch potentially? It hints you, it's very conversational. There's one big investment that we're very fond of, is like the digital assistant, because we're seeing that this consumer behavior that we all crave, right? Getting a instant gratification of a response by asking Siri, Alexa, or Google is just something that is expected by now from enterprise software as well. So we've just released a digital assistant with what we call multiple skills for certain line of businesses. And that goes very well with customers, right? Because I mean, it liberates them from the mundane front ends into really becoming more productive in recording time on projects, for example, using directory services, launching 8R transaction. We're not yet there where I can simply say, close my books. Hopefully that's one of the aspirations we're going to get to as well, but I mean, it's something where we definitely see that there's new user experience paradigms, and we have big investments there as well.
Very good. This would be my next question. What do you see coming up in the future? What are some of the things that you are excited about that you see on the horizon?
Yeah, so I do think we're going to see a liberation in Hyphen for the individuals using our softwares, that whatever we used in terms of static screens, for example, fixed menu paths that you needed to memorize potentially to get a result, are going to be much more conversational. So we bank a lot of our investments on making sure that the user experience at large is completely redone. We've hired a lot of external talent recently to help us with that exercise. You might have seen Project Redwood as was one of those manifestations. So we're very excited about that, but it's also, we do see that new business process, new business models are going to be evolving, and for that, having the entire suite to our discretion seamlessly for the same business process flows is a big advantage, like subscription modeling, for example. Because that ties together, of course, how a customer wants to configure the service, right? what they're willing to pay, but then immediately in your ERP system you need to ratify the revenue streams differently, accounting standards might be differently. If you do a business case, whether I want to ship something or you ship a connected product, so the sensory data points, right, that you get out of the usage of a product, turning that into revenue streams ties together different aspects once again. So we're very excited about just a very different area of enterprise software, where I got in the industry now for 25 years, and thank God it has evolved, but I think it evolves now at a pace that is exponential versus gradual.
Yeah, and I'm excited. I share that completely. It's a nice point to end on. And I think this development will carry on. It will probably even speed up, and it will hopefully make our world a better place. So
exactly.
Thank you very much, Juergen.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.